Welcome to another exciting episode of Shade and Shit Talking. I'm your host TK, and as always, thank you for tuning in. We got a lot of exciting topics to cover this week. I'll be revisiting the latest news and happenings of the Antoine Rose murder. We'll also discuss a little bit about the latest political moves and how it affects the diaspora. I got some entertaining and informative info on two of our biggest music stars ever, and of course, the episode would not be complete without sports and colonizer nonsense. So get your yak on ice, go find your comfy spot, and let's do what we came here to do. Before I get started, I just wanted to take a moment to do a quick public service announcement. This week was National HIV Testing, and I encourage everyone to get yourself checked. Do it for yourself. Do it for the safety of others. And I mean, it doesn't matter if you're playing the field, monogamous relationship, if you're gay, straight, bi, cis, this or that gender. Get tested. It's very important, especially in the black community. We had a podcast yesterday with Dr. Calibra Jenkins, and she went into great detail about HIV and AIDS and how it affects us. She gave great insight, great information. So if you get a chance, go to Black with No Chaser and check out the HIV awareness and testing podcast. What really hit home for me were the numbers that she presented and how disproportionate we as black people represent the amount of new AIDS cases and cases of people who have the disease, period. So very, very important information. I really encourage you to be proactive and not reactive. Speaking of disproportionate, you know what's really disproportionate as well in our community? Getting killed by police. Unarmed black people getting shot and killed or choked or beat to death by police. So in the news right now, of course, you know, last episode I talked about the murder of Antoine Rose. Well, since that last episode, the officer who fatally shot Antoine Rose has been charged with criminal homicide. The officer's name is Michael Rossville, and on Wednesday, he turned himself in after being charged with the one count. The district attorney, Steven Zappala, had this to say: "You can't take somebody's life under these circumstances. You do not shoot someone in the back if they're not a threat to you." Now, we've seen this, I don't know how many times. You had the cop, I forget where it was, but he shot the guy like 8 times in the back who was running away, and he got charged with manslaughter, I believe, and he got found guilty. This guy, Michael Rossville, he's a piece of shit. This isn't his first foray into bullshit. I'll get to that in a second. Let me go back to the happenings though. So the district attorney, he told reporters that the evidence that they gather supports a case for third-degree murder, which carries a sentence of 20 to 40 years in prison. But he also added that he believed that prosecutors could argue first-degree murder, which would send Rossville to prison for life if convicted. Now, I don't know how many of you guys watched the video of Antoine Rose Jr. being murdered by this cop, but I mean, it was almost like an instantaneous, thing. You also had, witnesses who saw this, who recorded it, said that he pretty much shot him, no warning, no nothing. I believe that they should charge him with multiple charges to make sure something sticks, because quite honestly, our justice system worries the fuck out of me. I don't trust it at all. Now this cop, like I said, this isn't his first foray into bullshit. He was actually dismissed from the University of Pittsburgh Police Department. There's information floating around that according to a high-ranking school official at the University of Pittsburgh, Officer Michael Rossville was fired after brutally assaulting a black student. I wish I could say, that somewhat surprised me, but honestly, nothing that we see nowadays really surprised me at all. And it's a shame, man. I mean, we have to talk about this. It seems like every week somebody's different getting shot by a policeman under very suspicious, very fucked up circumstances. And I mean, until they, and when I say they, I'm talking about the good ones, the quote unquote good ones, the powers that be decide they've had enough of this nonsense and purge themselves of the bullshit officers, we will continue to have this problem. Because I mean, there is no way that kid should have been killed. There is no way that Rossville, who had been sworn into the East Pittsburgh Police Department only 90 minutes before the incident, 90 minutes, should have been in the field anyways. I mean, who stops a car with 3 people and not call for backup? Like, I've never seen that happen. I get pulled over by myself for a traffic ticket and 2 fucking cars show up. If 3 cars show up, your ass is going to jail. So, that was very suspicious circumstances, in my opinion. You don't call for help, especially for the situation that purportedly happened, with the drive-by shooting, and this was a car that did it. So if you think in your mind, in your mind they're armed or somebody's armed, you just gonna do it by yourself. And a lot of this bullshit goes to lack of training, lack of knowledge of situations, not having any real rules of engagement. This is what happens. But let me just give you a quick witness recap. Witness said that they saw Rose being struck from behind by 3 shots. It was another passenger who was in the back seat. They both took off running, and in the video you could hear the witnesses say, why are they shooting at them? He just ran. Running is not a death sentence. And that's true, theoretically. But we've seen multiple times that that's not how they operate. They shoot first, ask questions later, get desk duty, and then they go on with their life. And it's all fucked up. Now, in another incident, this time from Kingsland, Georgia. Kingsland, Georgia police officer Zachariah Presley was charged with voluntary manslaughter in the death of Anthony Green, a black motorist who was shot while running away from Presley. This happened on June 21st. Presley was tailing Green's car when Green and the passenger got out of the car and ran away. It says that Presley gave a foot chase and made contact with Mr. Green, and Mr. Green got away again. Now, at that point, as the guy was running away, not running towards him, not running away with a gun aimed at him shooting, he was just running away. And this policeman shot multiple rounds in his direction, killing him. And surprise, this guy too has a history of inappropriate conduct that was revealed when the Kingsland Police Department released his personnel file. This is an excerpt from NBC News. Records show that he was hired last year despite admitting that he had physically fought with his wife, had bought or sold marijuana, repeatedly shouted at people, was involved in 2 to 3 accidents, and had been arrested for reckless eluding speeding, according to his own handwritten text. Presley also racked up 9 incidents during his year. 9 incidents during his year, as in 1 year, in the police department. At one point of a black man who had complained to the chief prompting the man to say that Presley had him fearing for his life. And all Mr. Green had in his record was traffic ticket for suspended license and a 2016 arrest on a misdemeanor. But he's the one that's dead. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation, they said that they're reviewing the footage from Presley's body cam and patrol vehicle cam, and I'm pretty sure that they won't be releasing them. But it's got to be something to it if they charged him. And that's fine. That's great. I'm personally glad that they charged both of those murderous assholes. Now you got to follow through. Now you need to stand on your word of saying that you taking this type of shit serious, because we really don't believe you. I mean, look at the officer in Tulsa. What was her name? Betty Shelby. We watched her pretty much execute Terrence Crutcher on the side of the road, and she was charged with the trial. And guess what? She was acquitted, and she returned back to work. And not only was she acquitted, but the judge removed the fatal shooting from her record. So she's probably somewhere terrorizing people with another department. No surprise at all. So it's a good thing that they got him charged. I think they should levy as many charges as possible to make sure something sticks. But I mean, I'm confident that we won't get the justice that we seek, the full justice that we seek, because America and the really shitty justice system. On Wednesday, Anthony Kennedy announced his retirement from the Supreme Court, and it created an opening for President Tupe Fiasco to reshape the ideological makeup of the nation's highest court for decades to come. It created a best case scenario for the Republican Party, and basically it's their dream scenario. So now he gets to reshape it in his orange image. Now, Kennedy was appointed to the bench by President Ronald Reagan, had long been rumored to, retire. And at 81 years old, he decided now was the right time to say goodbye. In his letter, he said, and I quote, "It has been the greatest honor and privilege to serve our nation in the federal judiciary for 43 years, 30 of those years on the Supreme Court." So now, it's almost impossible to calculate the impact that his retirement would have, on the court and the country. And most judicial watchers believe that Kennedy's retirement affords Trump the chance to appoint a more consistently conservative justice in his place. And by doing this, it will create a very clear conservative majority consisting of John Roberts, Coon Thomas, Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, and whoever he picks next. I will tell you this, like I said earlier, it's impossible to calculate the impact, but I can tell you 5 things that will be impacted by his retirement, and that's abortion, affirmative action, voting rights and partisan gerrymandering, gay rights, and the death penalty. And in one way or another, all of that shit affects the diaspora. So we here at Black with No Chaser be keeping an eye out, present new information as it comes, and just keeping y'all informed. So by now, you've probably heard about the Red Hen incident involving Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Queen of the Smoky Eye, and Uncle Fester's twin sister. On Friday, June 22nd, Stephanie Wilkinson, the owner of the Red Hen, a small farm-to-table restaurant in Lexington, Virginia, asked Sanders to leave her restaurant in protest. And she basically said that serving her was against her morals and what she believed in. And this was, in response to everything that's going down at the border, and the fact that Sarah Fuckabee Sanders lies her ass off every single day she steps in front of the nation. And of course, it created a shit ton of backlash from Orange 45's supporters that claimed that, she was wrong and she had no right and it was discrimination. And I mean, they skewered this lady on Yelp and all this other shit. But, and there's always a but, it made me think about a situation maybe 2016, 2017, where a baker, a guy named Chris, who became known as Chris the Baker, refused to serve then Vice President a cake or whatever it was. So, Joe Biden, he didn't do like her and just tweet it out and, try to cause a ruckus. But anyways, in response to this guy refusing to serve Joe Biden, the Republicans just lauded him. They loved him. He was on tour. He was, introducing small Paul Ryan at a rally, and they just loved this guy. He's stood up for what's right. So now they bitching. I tell you, man, that's hypocrisy at its finest. But of course, we used to that shit from them. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gather around. It's time for this week's episode of Colonizer Nonsense. Our first Nizer Nonsense incident takes us to San Francisco, California, and it also introduces us to yet another thing that we can't do while black: selling water without a permit. Now, on June 23rd, Allison Edel, better known now as Permit Patty, called the police on an 8-year-old girl for selling water without a permit. Now, this little girl wasn't bothering anybody. But as always, these goddamn Nizers gotta stick their nose in other people's business and go and disrupt peace and harmony. And now she finds herself officially unemployed. On Tuesday, the company that she worked for, Treatwell Health, announced that she officially stepped down as CEO and that the cannabis company, which produces weed products for cats and dogs, will be moving on without her. The backlash she received came from 7 other companies that removed their products off of their shelves due to her stupidity. Dummy. Well, anyways, the story goes that, she claimed on TV when she broke down and played the victim, like they do, that she did not call the police on the little girl. Well, that was proven false because audio came out from the police that she actually indeed did call the cops on this little girl. So I'm glad she's fired. That's what the fuck she gets. She's a goddamn bully and she deserves it. In San Bernardino County, California, damn, what the hell happened to California love? Shit. A video of a woman verbally attacking a Latino man and his mother for being Mexican has gone viral. This woman goes on a racist rant, calling this man an animal and a rapist. She goes on this anti-immigrant rant. She uses racial slurs. She even sticks her middle finger in this man's face. The man, by the way, Esteban Guzman, is a U.S. citizen born and raised in California. He and his mother were working in a yard in Running Springs when this lady just started, yelling insults towards him. Now, Esteban calmly asked this lady, "Why do you hate us?" And she replied, "Because you're Mexican." She also threw in, "Even the president of the United States says you're a rapist." Now, listen, you people always talk about why we say that Trump is the face and the party of racists. Simple. It's because they say he's the face of racists. They invoke his name every time they do some stupid racist bullshit. Now, if I was that guy, I would have probably smacked the shit out of the mama from Throw Mama from the Train for her bullshit, because she would have deserved it. I mean, first of all, you talking to him like he ain't shit, then you treating him like a little boy, putting your hand in his face, and then you disrespecting him and his mama. I'd have smacked the shit out of that golden girl and wouldn't have thought nothing else about it. Well, time to add something else to the list of things you cannot do while black. Go swimming with your friends at the community pool and mind your business on a hot weekend day. Meet Stephanie Sebi Strimple of Dorchester County, South Carolina. She is currently taking up space in the Dorchester County Jail, facing 1 count of third-degree assault and 2 counts of assaulting a law enforcement officer. Miss Sebi Strimple, or who I like to call Swimming Pool Stephanie, is a racist pig, and she deserves whatever happens to her. Anyway, she launched an unprovoked physical and verbal attack against a teenage black young man who came to the Reminisce neighborhood pool with his friends for a swim. According to the sheriff's office, the 15-year-old and his friends were invited to the pool by a friend who lives in the neighborhood, and witnesses say that as soon as they arrived, Wideback Stephanie told them that they did not belong there and they had to leave. In the face of all this shit, even with this lady putting her hands in this kid's face, he remained respectful and didn't beat her ass. She yelled at them, used racial slurs, she physically assaulted them. And the video, captured part of it and also captured her calling them little punks. Even as they left without, any type of ruckus or anything, she still continued to antagonize them. So on Monday, the deputy showed up to her home to charge and arrest her, and she pushed one detective into a wall, injuring his knee. She then bit the arm of a second detective, breaking skin, and they didn't shoot this bitch. Meanwhile, well, you already know. So anyways, I hope this ugly, big head, wide back, booty, long division ass bitch goes to jail because she deserves it. I'm sick of people like her and they bullshit. This week, the world celebrated the life of and remembered the death of Michael Jackson, who died in 2009, June 25th, 2009. Of course, everybody knows who Mike is. He's the king of pop, one of the most celebrated artists of all time. He was a singer, songwriter, dancer, dubbed as the king of pop. He was one of the most popular entertainers in the world and one of the best-selling music artists of his time, of any time, actually. His contributions to music, dance, and fashion, along with his publicized personal life and his personality, made him a global figure in pop culture for over 4 decades. including the time he was with the Jackson 5, when he was solo. Who don't remember Moonwalk? I mean, Mike was a bad boy. He also is the owner of the best-selling album of all time, which is Thriller. It sold 66 million copies worldwide. His other albums, you had Off the Wall, Dangerous, and History, also rank amongst the world's best-selling albums. He was one of the few artists to have been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice. He was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame and the Dance Hall of Fame as the only dancer from pop and rock music. He's a multiple Guinness World Record holder. He's the most successful entertainer of all time with 13 Grammy Awards, the Grammy Legend Award, the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, 24 American Music Awards, which is more than any other artist, and he has also won the Artist of the Century. He had 13 number one singles in the U.S. During his solo career. That's more than any other male artist in the Hot 100 era. And he has sold over an estimated 350 million records worldwide. Damn. Like I said, Mike was the man, and he's still dropping music. Now, it may just be coincidental that Joe Jackson died and all of a sudden Mike got new music coming out. Even in death, Joe putting his ass to work. Another artist to celebrate this week, to recognize this week, is Whitney Houston. Her album Whitney debuted at number one on the Billboard 200 chart on June 27, 1987, becoming the first album by a female artist and only the fifth album by a solo artist to do so. The album remained at the top for 11 consecutive weeks, creating a record. It was also on the top for the most cumulative weeks of 25 weeks, at number one, actually. The first four singles of the album, I Want to Dance with Somebody, Didn't We Almost Have It All, So Emotional, and Where Do Broken Hearts Go, all classics. Everybody, know and love those songs. Well, they all peaked at number one on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, which made her the first female artist to ever achieve that feat. Along with the three straight number one singles from the debut album, they established an unprecedented 7 consecutive number one hits by a performer, surpassing the Beatles and the Bee Gees. She also won a Grammy for her album Best Pop Vocal Performance for a Female for I Want to Dance with Somebody. This album catapulted Whitney to international fame. Whitney was certified 9 times platinum by the RIAA on November 29, 1995. She'll always be, a part of the black culture. My mama still love Whitney. I still love Whitney. It's sad though, another talented and well-loved artist gone too soon. The NBA finally put the 2017-18 season to bed on Monday night with the second annual NBA Awards, where they gave out honors like MVP, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, to the league's most deserving candidates. As we all know, James Harden took home the league's top individual honor, beating out LeBron James and Anthony Davis to win his first NBA MVP award. Bruh. Did y'all see the award show or the pre-show or whatever? Did y'all see James Harden walking in? Man, this nigga walked in looking like the church mother on pastor's anniversary while being dressed like the Chick-fil-A cow. Why y'all let him do that, man? He looked absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, Ben Simmons, he beat out Donovan Mitchell for Rookie of the Year after one of the most contentious debates of the season, one of the most entertaining back and forth of the season between those two. And also, Dwayne Casey former coach of the Toronto Raptors, won Coach of the Year after they fired his ass. Like how do you get fired on your day off? But luckily for him, he was hired by the Detroit Pistons. In his speech for Coach of the Year, he had this to say, and I quote, "I appreciate all of you who appreciated me as a coach. Also, fuck Toronto as a staff, a team, a record label, and as a motherfucking crew. And if you down with Toronto, then fuck you too." Expect the Drake diss track coming soon, if Jay Prince let him. Other award winners, you had Most Improved Player Victor Oladipo. There was other strong candidates. Clint Capella, Spencer Dinwiddie could also won, but Oladipo became All-Star in his first season with the Pacers, so that's probably what pushed him over the top. And then you also had Defensive Player of the Year, which is Rudy Gobert up in Utah. He beat out Anthony Davis. He beat out Joel Embiid, so apparently he earned it. And finally, Sixth Man of the Year goes to Lou Williams, who could have lost to Eric Gordon, who won the award last year. But congratulations to Lou Williams, who, by the way, that man is living the life. He getting paid. He got two women that's down with being co-partners with him. My boy living it up. So congratulations in basketball and in life to Lou Williams. So with basketball season out the way, we can concentrate on football. Now, the biggest stories in football, of course, is what will people do as far as, following football? Will they boycott? Will they root for their teams? Who knows? We shall see. But right now, the biggest story that's going on in football is the one of Jameis Winston. Winston, as many of you know, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback. Well, he was suspended for 3 games to start this upcoming season off for an altercation, or incident rather, that he had with an Uber driver back in 2016. He was accused by this driver of groping her genitals, basically putting his goddamn hands on a woman when he shouldn't have. Now, I really don't understand this kid. Like he has the world, at his feet, and he's stepping on it. He's throwing away opportunities left and right. He's no stranger to trouble before. I was reading an article that was talking about there was 2 cases of sexual misconduct. Rather, I don't know if it's assault or whatever. One was a rape charge that he faced at FSU that was pretty much covered up, and one of the women settled for almost $1 million with FSU. You had that, then you had the incident with him taking the crab legs from the store, which that don't really bother me. I mean, if I got a nigga that's gonna hook me up at a store, hell, I'm gonna take the hook up too. So it is what it is on that. But my point is, this kid keeps finding himself in shit over and over and over again, and it makes no sense. So now Tampa Bay got to sit him down for 3 weeks. He could have gotten more, but he settled. He took a plea basically with the league of 3 games with the promise that he won't appeal it, and also that he gets help for alcohol abuse, which he has already claimed to have done that, saying he no longer drinks. So, like I said, he's talented. He's got all the opportunity in the world, and he basically has to prove himself this year because he's on the 4th year of his contract, and Tampa Bay has a player option that they can pick up if they choose to, worth $20 million. So will this cost him? Who knows? But what I do know is he need to just concentrate on football and get himself together and stay the fuck out of trouble. Well, we reached the end of another episode, and as always, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate the love and support. Make sure you catch us on Facebook at Black with No Chaser, as well as Twitter, Black No Chaser, and Instagram at Black with No Chaser. Your love, your support, your encouragement is always appreciated. I just want to give a quick reminder, like I did earlier to start the episode. Make sure you go and get yourself checked. HIV and AIDS testing free this whole week. Even if they're not free, take advantage of facilities that offer testing. You know, protect yourself, protect others as well. Also, make sure you catch Shade of Shit Talking podcast on the various platforms that I'm found on. You can catch me on Anchor. You can catch me on Google Play. You can catch me on iTunes, Pocket Cast, Overcast, and as well as the new Google podcast app. You can also find me on Podbean and my website. That's www.shadingshittalking.podbean.com. That's PODBEAN. Please like, follow, share, help me build up my audience. You know, that way I can get more info out to the masses and continue to help inform and enlighten the diaspora. Now, usually I have some type of inspirational quote or something like that, but this week I ain't really got shit, so I'ma just get the fuck out of here. Thank you.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.